Opponent makes a very nice catch, catching the Icy Wind onto Jellicent, but my god, do we have a surprise for the most basic Ultra League safe switch in the form of Alolan Golem. We tank the Surf, we can now overfarm, return fire with the Stone Edge, and if the opponent does not respect the damage, they're about to get one shot. Back out is going to come Dragonite, and Golem, still not done, going to make the Rock Blast, forcing a shield. Welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. We're back at it again today with another spicy rock type in the form of Alolan Golem. As you can see from the intro, it's a very nice counter swap to the most basic meta safe switch of them all, Jellicent. It's also very dominant against top meta picks like Walrein and Charizard. Today's battles are sent to me by the very best, hence the team name on the screen. Team partners today are going to be Drifblim to help counteract this weakness to Fighting and Charizard. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1 we see the battle of the ghost types. The opponent builds up to a potential Shadow Ball. I would have personally called the bait, hence this trainer is called the very best because evidently they're better than me. The opponent now safe switches into Swampert and we've got no real response. The very best full sends the Shadow Ball, and to my surprise the opponent correctly shielded our Shadow Ball up. We can easily survive one Hydro Cannon. We can now farm up one further Hex for optimal fast move timing and fire off Shadow Ball. Number 2, this lands for heavy neutral damage, getting Swampert deep into the red. We look to fire off the Icy Wind, but unfortunately we lose the charge move priority event to Swampert. Out comes Charizard looking for the wing attack farm down, but the super spammy Swampert makes the charge move. We're now forced to invest our final Protect Shield. The opponent then gives up switch, not wanting to get farmed down and send out Ampharos. Alolan Golem going straight for the Rock Blast, looking to force the final shield, and the opponent does oblige. They now build up to the potential Focus Blast. Golem will be getting one shot, however the opponent's only got Brutal Swing. Golem might be squishy, but the opponent is forced to dump the remainder of their energy. We can now send out Charizard. We do throw on alignment. We could have actually thrown one further wing attack and not taken the Volt Switch. However, Charizard now still smelling blood. What does the opponent want to do? They send out Trevenant. Charizard going to settle for the Dragon Claw. I don't think Dragon Claw will be lethal. However, it gets them deep into the red. The opponent isn't going to make the Shadow Ball. They settle for the double resisted Seed Bomb, and you silly tree, that certainly isn't going to cut it, and Charizard wing attack farms down the remainder of the team. Moving on to the next one. Great lead, the hot air balloon into Verizion. The opponent safe switches into Tapu Fini, and here comes Alolan Golem. We have got access to super effective Volt Switch, but the one-turn water guns are tearing us apart. The very best farms up, goes for the Rock Blast bait. The opponent craps their pants, putting up a Protect Shield. Alolan Golem now reaches the Stone Edge on what looks like to be a charge move priority event. Stone Edge draws the final Protect Shield and its CMP. Golem has done a very good job forcing both shields in the mid game. The opponent recognising they played to a CMP tie. They did not win. Shout out Home Slice Henry for that line. Choose to go for the undercharge, giving themselves a little bit more farm. Back out comes Drifblim. We're going for the resisted Icy Wind bait. Icy Wind doesn't secure the knockout. The opponent then gives up switch, sending out Verizion, and my god, that is a very questionable play. Verizion does have access to Stone Edge, however we've already lowered their attack with the first Icy Wind. The opponent builds up to what could be a Stone Edge, and we see the very best Investor Shield. The opponent masturbates us with a Leaf Blade. They then don't build up to the Stone Edge. They must have Sacred Sword. The opponent actually throws Sacred Sword the second time. Definitely not the player's. Leaf Blade is only single resisted, whereas Sacred Sword is double resisted. Icy Wind secures the knockout. The opponent has a Surf Bank. They send out Jellicent. They look to go for the Wham Bam combo play. However, this combo should be off the menu as Surf isn't going to knock out. We then Hex Farm them all the way down. Back out comes Jellicent, and it's about to eat a Shadow Ball to the face. Shadow Ball rocks him deep into the red. We then see the pivot into Charizard. Charizard so glassy, but Jellicent just tickles Surf, doesn't secure the knockout. We're one wing attack away from the Dragon Claw, and that's going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Drifblim into Deoxys. The opponent throws one counter pivot out into Drapion. We've got no immediate response. The very best looks to go for a debuff and most likely dip out into Golem. That's exactly what we see happen. Let's see if the opponent is running the absolutely dreadful move of Aqua Tail. Evidently they are not. They fire off the crunch. The opponent doesn't get any luck with RNG. We do not get a defense drop. This is going to allow us to easily tank the second crunch. We then throw one further Volt Switch. I don't think Rock Blast will knock out. I'll be honest, I've never seen Golem in Ultra League. However, Rock Blast didn't knock out. We then are forced to throw one more Rock Blast. Rock Blast does secure the knockouts. We maintain alignment and we actually give Deoxys minimal farm. Back out comes Deoxys Golem. Gets absolutely smacked into oblivion. We send back out the balloon. The opponent pivots out into Walrein. We now see Charizard into Walrein in the 2 shield. This is going to be tricky. We tank the first one. The very best farms up. Goes for the bait on the CMP tie. How big are the opponent's cojones? Clearly tiny. They shield the bait. This is now prime. If I was in this situation, I don't really bait. But if you throw the bait, it's now going to have to be straight blast burn all the way. The very best gets greedy. Does the opponent call this? No! The opponent calls the bait. We're only going to reach a Dragon Claw. If the opponent shields this, I think it's game over. The opponent does shield. The very best recognising he's going to get farmed down. Pivots out into the balloon. The balloon going to be forced to invest his final protect shield here. The opponent then makes a savage catch. Catching the Shadow Ball onto Deoxys. Shadow Ball rocks him deep into the red. At this stage now, we've got a Hex farm all the way down. And we've got a Shadow Ball, that Walrein. Walrein, I think, might have a move. And we would win CMP. However, speaking of CMP, that move looked like CMP. However, I don't know how. As 2-turn versus 3-turn, the moves shouldn't align. However, back out comes Walrein. Icicle Sphere will take us out. And I think 1 or 2 Powder Snows is going to be enough to take care of Charizard. GG's to that opponent. Holy crap, what a core breaker. Galvantula going to be pretty good against both Drifblim and Charizard. The only advantage for us is Galv users love to shield and love to bait. The very best calls the lunge, and holy crap, what a call. The opponent does bait and we did not shield. That's huge. We then fire off the Icy Wind, and as always, Galv users love to shield. The opponent going to make one more charge move at this stage. I just let the balloon go down. The very best does exactly that. We can now send out Alolan Golem. I don't know if we win CMP. Let's find out. We're not going to find out because the opponent makes a savage catch. Catch their Rock Blast on the tin can. However, have we got some response for this minty green tin can in the form of Charizard? Unfortunately, 1 blast burn won't be lethal, but as we've got 2 shields, this might be somewhat advantageous. We can shield up the Zap Cannon, resisted wing attack farm down and get some energy for the returning Galv. However, Galv does have a charge move. The opponent has baited us once already. The very best last second commits a shield, and it's a good one as the opponent full sent the discharge. We then throw 1 wing attack and the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw forces the final shield. The opponent then looks to catch a Dragon Claw onto Cresselia. The very best shows great discipline, holding his energy. We go straight for the Blast Burn. Blast Burn lands for huge damage. If this is only a Moon Blast, we will survive. The opponent doesn't have Future Sight. We then look to combo play into Golem. Golem looks to go for the Stone Edge. Unfortunately, we don't quite get there. However, Grass Knot isn't lethal. Golem does shrug it off. We make the Stone Edge, but is Stone Edge enough to knock out? Yes, it is. Back out comes Galvantula. The opponent throws the charge move. Charizard exited with a Dragon Claw, and the very best pulls off a huge clutch dub. Very, very well played. GG's. Moving on to the next battle. Drifblim into Dragonite. Drifblim is going to reach the Icy Wind exactly the same time the opponent reaches the Dragon Claw. The opponent actually makes a savage catch, catching the Icy Wind onto Jellicent. However, my god, do we have some response for the most basic meta bitch safe switch in the Ultra League in the form of Golem. The opponent fires off the Surf, but 1 stage debuff that doesn't do too much damage. The very best going for the kill shot. The Stone Edge returns Jellicent to their Pokeball. If they return with Dragonite, they're going to need to throw. The opponent chooses not to throw, and Golem, still not done, makes the Rock Blast, forcing a Protect Shield. Dragonite then commits to the very aggressive Dragon Breath farm down, but at the cost of quite a lot of HP. The very best sends out the balloon. We've still got 2 Protect Shields too high behind, however, the very best doesn't shield the first Dragon Claw. The opponent's counting absolutely on point. They throw the next Dragon Claw just before we reach the Icy Wind. The very best putting all his hopes and dreams on the back of Charizard. We need to start shielding. We see the instant shield deployed on the Dragon Claw. The opponent then looks to make a catch onto their own Charizard, and I think this is just going to be too much to ask. Charizard full sends the Blast Burn. The opponent shrugs it off. The very best with his back against the wall. What do you shield? We choose to shield this. The opponent fires off the Dragon Claw. Charizard is going to make the Dragon Claw. However, the opponent still has 1 Protect Shield to hide behind. They sack their own Charizard. Back out comes Dragonite. They reach the Dragon Claw, and unfortunately we're going to lose a very close game. GG's. Moving on to the next one. We see the Battle of Shadows. Drifblim into the oppressive Shadow Gramble. My god, look at the charm damage, the very best. Goes straight for an Icy Wind. Gramble lets it go. We then see the pivot into Golem and the opponent answers with Walrein. Are you serious? That is some counter switch. The opponent doesn't even build up to an Earthquake. We easily shrug off the Icicle Sphere. The very best. Then going for the kill shot. Stone Edge vanquishes Walrein back to their Pokeball. The opponent's final Pokemon is Poliwrath. Our charge moves are resisted, however. 2 Volt Switches are going to do quite a lot of damage. Poliwrath gets the counter farm down. We send out the balloon. We are triple resisting the counter damage due to our Ghost. Flying typing, however, Ice Punch gets us super low. We don't commit to the Shadow Ball. We're just settling for the debuff of the Icy Wind. The opponent knows it wasn't a Shadow Ball. They shrug it off. Back out comes Gramble, but Charizard with 2 shields. Just going to wing attack farm down the remainder of the team. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see another positive lead. This Haxorus running counter, so it's very advantageous for our balloon. We fire off the Icy Wind on alignment. The opponent takes the extra, and of course they shield Haxorus. May as well be the dragon version of Galvantula, as they essentially shield absolutely everything. They return fire with the break-in swipe. However, this Haxorus getting a taste of their own medicine. They love to debuff, but so does our balloon. The opponent then switch out into Cresselia, and Cresselia is going to be met with a Shadow Ball to the face. Shadow Ball, even debuff, does quite a lot of damage. We then pivot out into Zard. Moment of truth time. Does this Cresselia have Future Sight? Ouch, Future Sight hits for heavy neutral damage. The very best farms up. Full sends the Blast Burn. Blast Burn vanquishes the bulky Cresselia back to their Pokeball. The opponent can't return the Haxorus. They're going to be forced to show their third. The third is Walrein, and this time there's no baiting. Unlike the last battle, we baited Walrein. We full send the Blast Burn, forcing the final shield. Alolan Golem now with a 2-0 shield advantage. In comes the mighty Rock Ball. We're going to have to respect the potential Earthquake. The opponent full sends it, as that probably is their win con. The opponent then pivot back out into Haxorus. The Hexes have put this thing into Rock Blast range. We actually opt to shield. I'm not sure on this shield because we are now going to get Powder Snow farm down and we're going to need to reach a Stone Edge. Can Walrein get enough farm to outpace Golem? It's going to be tight. I think the opponent's 2 away from the Quake. However, Golem reaches it on the CMP tie and Stone Edge is going to be all she wrote. Very close game. I think the safer play would have been just to save your shield for Golem, but moving on to the next one. The hot air balloon into Swampert. This is exactly where the team wants to see it. The opponent goes straight for the Hydro Cannon. Drifblim can survive too because it's pretty tick. We actually go for the Hail Mary. The opponent looks to call the Icy Wind and my god, that lands for heavy neutral damage. The opponent fires off the Hydro Cannon. Drifblim gonna reach the Icy Wind, so Drifblim is gonna win the 0 shield. I have a sneaky feeling with Swampert out the way, our backline could be pretty good. The opponent sends out Zard. We have the perfect response in the form of Golem. The opponent's final Pokemon is Trevenant. It looks like RPS for the win. Winning lead was absolutely everything, because if we would have lost lead, we would have had Golem aligned with Trevenant. The opponent successfully masturbated all over us, drawing a Protect Shield. The opponent then calls the bait. This opponent doing their very best impression of the featured battler today, their very best to find a win con. However, trainer, there is none, and you're about to find out the hard way. They successfully shield up a Blast Burn. They then even win CMP. They really are playing the very best, quite frankly, in the battle and to their ability. However, no ability in this situation is going to save you. We are going to shield. We do correctly shield up a Blast Burn. Golem going to be forcing the final shield with the Rock Blast. Come on, we want to see a Blast Burn land just to see how pitiful the damage is. We actually had the Rock Blast. We took the extra. Blast Burn does absolutely nothing. We make the Rock Blast and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing, trainer. In the next battle, we see Drifblim into Registeel. Not fantastic. However, we're going to have to stay as Golem definitely don't want to see this thing. The featured battler today, the very best, actually has a rank 1 balloon. My balloon's like a rank 12 or something, and I do just about survive a Zap Cannon, so we are going to survive one, but trust me, it's not going to be pretty. They full send the Zap Cannon, of course, and holy crap, we do survive, and we actually make another Shadow Ball. So the 0 shield here is pretty close, despite unfavourable typing. The very best looks to snipe with a Volt Switch. Reggie doesn't get sniped. We are going to have to respect the Focus Blast. Golem With a little energy lead, the opponent sends out Jellicent. Holy crap, that is some safe switch. Opponents really don't have a response for our Golem. They shield up the Rock Blast. Golem will just about survive a Surf, but again, it's not going to be pretty. Surf gets us deep into the red with the Hex damage. This time we're going for the kill shot. Stone Edge draws the final shield. Can we make one final Rock Blast? The opponent gets scared, throws energy. Surf takes us out. Just from looking at the opponent's playstyle, they have definitely got their own Charizard in the back. Or maybe Talonflame. It's definitely something weak to rock. The opponent looked to make a catch onto Registeel. Can we get the wing attack farm down? We attempt to catch a move on the balloon. We don't catch. But the opponent doesn't look to lock on, farm us down. Zap Cannon takes us out. Charizard gonna wing attack farm all the way down. Do they return with Jelly? Yes, they do. The Blast Burn is locked. It's loaded. Jellicent about to get cooked. What's the final Pokemon? Of course it was their own Zard, as Talonflame is pretty redundant. We've got a huge energy lead, one Blast Burn and one Dragon Claw is going to be enough to seal the deal. Shadow Charizard sweeping the back line. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Swampert again in the lead. Last time we won this lead, we RPS'd the back line. Let's see if we do the same here. The opponent going to strike first with the Hydro Cannon, an easy no shield for the balloon. Do we full send? Come on, the very best. Yes, sir. Shadow Ball locked and loaded. The opponent shows no respect and then pivot out into Walrein, and here comes Golem. The very best farming up to the Stone Edge, and again we're full sending it. Does the opponent respect the Stone Edge? The opponent invests a very good shield. A Stone Edge would have one-shot him. That at the Earthquake, we call the bait, and holy crap, the very best. How do you walk around with these huge balls? The opponent going to throw one more Icicle Sphere, and the very best opt in to save 2 shields for Zard, and that is a very good play. The very best could shield this up. We could then throw 5 wing attacks and the Blast Burn. He's actually choosing to let this go. Charizard now getting pretty low. We fire off the Dragon Claw on the CMP tie. I don't know if Dragon Claw knocks out. No, the opponent survives on 1 HP and a Dream. Finally, the very best. Invest the Protect Shield. We get the wing attack farm down. Swampert's 2 away from the move, the very best. With great memory of the count, he fires off the Dragon Claw on the CMP tie. The opponent's final Pokemon is Drapion. Again, we're going for the bait. Surely Drapion shields, which they do. As long as the opponent doesn't have Aqua Tail, we're going to reach the Blast Burn. Before the opponent reaches 2 moves, Blast Burn, almost one-shots. We snipe with a Hex and take that game. Huge shout out to today's featured battle of the very best, showing the power of a spicy Shadow Drifblim, Shadow Alolan Golem core. I've personally used Drifblim and I think it's actually really good in this meta. I've never used Golem, however after seeing this I think I might give it a try for myself. It's got some great targets in this meta, stuff like Charizard, Walrein and Jellicent don't want the smoke of this big ball, and it looks so much fun. So if you made it to this part of the video, I'd appreciate if you smash that like button. It really helps me reach a wider audience on YouTube. If you're new, please consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to my battle submission form is down below. The link to my Discord's also down below, where you can hang out, watch me stream some battles and watch some of the other Spice Lords, stream some of that Shadow Spice. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.